Hello, and welcome to the 14th episode of TB76's TSW Thoughts, where I look at Train Sim World DLCs from my own brutally honest perspective and go over what I like, dislike, and what can be improved. I'm an independent reviewer, so I'm not affiliated or endorsed by Dovetail Games, and I am free to criticise or praise where I see fit. Today, we're looking at Firefly Simulation's Medway Valley Line in the county of Kent, which also includes a part of the Chatham Main Line between Gravesend and Rainham. Featured, of course, in Southeastern High Speed by Dovetail Games, and is in fact in Dovetail Games' backyard. With a non-linear layout and with the aforementioned inclusion of the Gravesend to Rainham section, we shall now see if DTG were indeed beaten in their own backyard, in the Garden of England. So without further ado, let's get into the overview. The Medway Valley Line links the Medway Towns of Strood, Rochester, Gillingham and Rainham to Maidstone, the county town of Kent, and Tonbridge via Paddock Wood, not to be confused with the nearby spa town of Tunbridge Wells. The line follows the valley and of course the River Medway, which gives its name to the line, and the Medway Towns plus Medway Borough Council, the local authority of the Medway Towns. The line was opened in stages by the Southeastern Railway between 1844 and 1856, in which in 2026 the line celebrates its 170th anniversary. The line would later come under the control of the Southeastern Chatham Railway in 1899 as a result of a merger between the rival Southeastern Railway and London, Chatham and Dover Railway, whose rivalry led to their near financial ruin and duplicate lines. But that is another story. The line runs for 21 miles or 34 kilometres between Strood and Paddock Wood in the county of Kent, with an additional 5 miles or 8 kilometres on the Southeastern Main Line to Tonbridge. Plus, with the addition of the Chatham Main Line between Rochester and Rainham and the North Kent Line between Strood and Gravesend, first appearing in Southeastern High Speed. The most notable population centre outside the Medway Towns is Maidstone, the county town of Kent, which is served by Maidstone West and Maidstone Barracks, while Maidstone East is located on the Kent Downs line towards Ashford International. Other notable stations on the route include Snodland, Aylesford and Paddock Wood, to name a few. The services typically run between Strood and Paddock Wood, which at peak time are extended towards Tonbridge. The rolling stock included on the route as per default are two variants of the Class 375 Bombardier Electrostar, or Adtrans as it was before 2001. The 10-strong 3-car Class 375/3 fleet, which are the ones that weren't converted to Class 377/3s for use by Southern. These form the mainstay of the services on the Medway Valley Line, due to their shorter formation and ability to replace the 2-car Class 466 networkers on the Medway and also Sheerness line from Sittingbourne to Sheerness. Of course, due to the Class 466s not being compliant with the new PRM TSI laws, the same laws that saw the Pacers in the North, South West and South Wales withdrawn. But I'll go more into depth about that in my Cardiff City Network and Blackpool branches review respectively. The Class 375/6 is the 4-car variant and has the same older headlight cluster as the Class 375/3, as opposed to the second phase newer headlight cluster of the Class 375/9 from Southeastern High Speed. The 375/3, /6 and /7 variants have the older style of headlight clusters, while the /8 and /9 have the newer headlight clusters, for reference. It is also worth noting the interior differences as well as the headlight cluster differences between the variants. The Class 375/6s all have a pantograph for AC overhead operations, while the 375/3 is DC third rail only. although I'm not entirely sure if the AC overhead operation was ever used on the 375s. Please let me know in the comments. The Class 375s were initially built with tight lock couplers when they were ordered for Connex South Central and Connex Southeastern, but they have since been converted to Delna couplers, like on the Class 377s. While the sounds of the Southeastern High Speed 375/9 are Armstrong Powerhouse recordings, the sounds of the 375/3 and 375/6 are recorded by the Firefly Simulations team themselves, and if you want a demonstration, I will link my sound comparisons video here now. And also, for the first time in TSW, the disabled/accessible toilet of the train is fully modelled and accessible, although the smaller toilets aren't. You can even sit down and use the toilet, as seen here. And please, none of this skibbity toilet nonsense or any other toilet related brain rot. It was bad enough that I saw a skibbity toilet toy in Morrison's the other day. The line scenery, I have to say, is definitely up there with the likes of WCML Shap, Niedertalbahn, Liberec, Stará Paka, to name a few. And actually, areas around the stations and settlements have been made accessible, like here in Aylesford, which makes you feel that you are actually there. You need to actually go into these areas to find some of the route tasks, like the postbox for example. You will encounter the River Medway at many of these places. The existing Gravesend to Rainham section has had its scenery redone to a high standard. Here is a quick comparison of some of the Chatham Main Line stations on SCHS versus Medway Valley. The models of Rochester Cathedral and Castle are also carried over from SCHS. And then there is this work going on at Rochester Station, if someone could please fill me in the comments. Some notable features include working ticket barriers at the stations such as Strood, Chatham, Rochester, Maidstone West, Tonbridge and others, which bleep as NPCs or yourself enter through the barriers. Also, working traffic lights that work by pressing the buttons and stopping the oncoming traffic as per real life, functioning as it would in real life, although without the beep 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 noise that you hear in real life. This is really good in my books and shows how much of an effort that Firefly Simulations has put into the scenery. Some other notable scenery features are these oast houses that were used to dry hops for making beer, as Kent is known for growing hops for beer. These shapes on the top help the hops to dry over the fire and also act as a chimney for the smoke to waft out. Although, however, church buildings other than Rochester Cathedral haven't really been modelled, especially this one at Tudley between Paddock Wood and Tonbridge, which All Saints Church is famous for its stained glass designed by artist Marc Chagall, and is the only church in the world to have had all its stained glass windows done by Chagall, although the St. Stephanskirche in Mainz on both Linker Rheinstrecke and Frankfurt S-Bahn have windows by the same artist, but that's by the by. Service variation includes a half-hourly service between Strood and Paddock Wood via Maidstone West, which call at all stations along the line and are typically run by the Class 375/3s, but sometimes the 375/6s. These are extended to Tonbridge during peak time, but otherwise all terminate at Paddock Wood, where passengers would change for services to Dover Priory, Ramsgate via Canterbury West or London Charing Cross. There are 2 peak hour services in each direction between Maidstone West and St Pancras International, which are run by the Class 395 Javelin from SEHS, which calls at Snodland before Strood, Gravesend and High Speed 1 to St Pancras from Ebbsfleet International. These depart Maidstone West at 0654, 0754 and return to Maidstone West at 1808 and 1909 respectively. Other drivable services include the Chatham Main Line services between Rochester and Rainham, and plus with the Thameslink Class 700 DLC, the Thameslink services between Rainham and Luton as far as Gravesend, like on SEHS. The Southeastern Main Line services are drivable between Tonbridge and Paddock Wood, but these only last less than 10 minutes. Freight and rail tour layers are also included in the route, but the freight services use mostly the Skyhook Games cargo line pack, which I do not own. One last thing to go over is the GSMR on the Class 375, which instead of it automatically loading your head code, you need to do that manually. For demonstration purposes, let's say I wanted to register 2 Tango 18, so you first insert your train type, a stopping passenger service which is 2, and then your letter which is T or Tango for the phonetic alphabet, although like on an old keypad phone before smartphones were widespread, if you remember the times before smartphones were widespread, you may have to press twice, thrice or 4 times before you get your desired letter. And then there's the last 2 numbers of your head code. And then add your own custom 3-digit number before pressing the tick, and it takes a moment before registering your head code, and it is simple as that. Now, we shall go over what I like, dislike, and what could be improved. What I like. The scenery in general, as I said, it is up there ranking among the best for TSW routes. Foliage detailing, clutter, line side detail, and the settlements are especially well detailed, or at the very least, the areas surrounding the station, and the top has to be Aylesford Village, which you are able to virtually visit, even if being a bit away from the railway line itself. But if you want a little break from train spotting, you can always come here and relax by the Medway. The quality of the custom assets in this route is phenomenal, about as much as the Liberec Stará Paka route. In terms of scenery, this route is definitely on top. AI whistleboards, which is a positive, which brings this route to life, as there are many whistleboards on this route for the amount of foot crossings along the line. In my brutally honest opinion, this needs to be standard across all routes from TSW7 onwards. Just saying. The route tasks for this route. One of the most interesting being posting letters into this classic British postbox, which kind of gave me Postman Pat vibes, especially one where I saw a red post fan next to it, and then the Postman Pat theme came to my mind at that very moment. What makes it interesting, but not too much of a drag compared to some routes like Sherman Hill, is that you have to go into the villages and also by the river along the line to find these route tasks, namely the post boxes and the life buoys, which are nearer to bodies of water. The upgrade to the scenery on the Chatham Main Line and North Kent sections of the line, which along with the aforementioned ticket gates opening and functioning lifts. Although it is the same section as from SEHS, it does at times feel like you're driving on a totally different TSW route by another developer. The addition of third rail arcing on the 375/3 and 375/6 really add that extra bit of detail, which you do sometimes get on the other third rail electrics in game, but not to the extent and to the detail of the 375/3 and 375/6, which is great. The sounds of the 375/3 and the 375/6, the sort of thing you'd expect on mods from trainsimcommunity.com, but wow, The sound quality is next to none for the default sound set. As previously mentioned, the sounds are demonstrated in my Electrostar sound comparison video. The announcements, which start with the Electrostar announcement chime, although unlike the 377/3 and 171, the announcer voice does not resemble that of Julie Berry. But here is a demonstration.
Welcome aboard this Southeastern service to Tonbridge, calling at East Farley, Wateringbury, Yalding, Beltring, Paddock Wood and Tonbridge.
I like some of the parody company names. Well, of course, they are spoofs to avoid licensing issues. As can be seen here on some of these retail unit signs like PC Planet, Underground Subs and Slow Fix. I could go on, I really could, but we'll be here all day, so let's move on. What I dislike. I really would be nitpicking if I stated what I didn't like, although, in saying that, I will say that entering Rochester station with the cranes and the construction work, I find rather jarring in comparison to what it is on SEHS. That maybe is just me, and yes, there is work going on when the Medway Valley is set, but then again, I've only put this in because of, well, how jarring I find it. What could be improved? It's just a couple of minor tweaks really. The Class 377/3 being layered in for the Tonbridge to Redhill AI services as per real life, as opposed to the Southeastern 375/3, which the 377/3 is now in game with Rivet's 377/3 and 171 add-on, so this could really be correctly implemented. In addition, the Class 375/9 from Southeastern High Speed should also be layered in for the Chatham Main Line and Southeastern Main Line services, so it's not just the 375/6s that are doing the Dover Priory, Ramsgate runs and etc. It'll add a bit more variety to the Electrostar rail scene, and also possibly the 465/2. So, in conclusion, Firefly simulations have, to put it bluntly, have definitely beaten Dovetail games in their backyard good time. They've probably battered them out the park, out of Chatham, out the Medway. Yeah, so this, with its high quality scenery and a pleasant drive along the Medway Valley, I would 100% recommend this route. Although, in saying that, with the price of the route, it is up to you if you want to get it at full price or wait for a sale. Although I would generally slightly lean towards getting it at full price, but then again, it is up to you whether you want to get it at full price or wait for a sale. So the next review hopefully shall be the long-awaited Fetsischer Ludwigsbahn review with Lexi, and after that it'll possibly be something from Just Trains' catalogue, another German TSW route. I haven't quite made up my mind yet, but I will let you know when things progress. But until then, this is TB76 Returns, signing off. Goodbye!